Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. 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 Alrighty. Hello, everybody. I tried to do a live video in a different group. Just wanted to do like some sub talk, mainly about like Slow Studio. So I'm going to put something on the screen right now so that I can indicate what we are doing today. Hold on. There we go. See, purple. So whenever we see purple, we know that this is strictly for Silhouette Studio. Specifically today, Silhouette Studio for sublimation. Yeah, so how can I say this? Silhouette Studio is a program where you can really learn to design and do some things in there. But I find that a lot of people just don't know like how you can just do basic stuff in Silhouette Studio. So that is what I want to focus on in this particular live video. So whatever questions you have as far as setting up a file, downloading a file, opening a file, sizing a file, things like that as it relates to sublimation, this is your time to ask those questions so that you can help someone else. I know a lot about the program. I know a lot about sublimation. So how I might think about certain things, it's like it's just second nature to me. It's not questions that I would normally have. So I like to do these live sessions because the questions that you have might be the question that another beginner or, mid-grade user may have. So take advantage of this time and post your questions, and also know that you are helping others who will watch the playback of this and may have some of the same questions that you have. So again, in this live session, it is a Q&A, but I am focusing on Silhouette Studio and what you can do in that program as it relates to sublimation. Anything else, we're not going to really touch on. We're only going to focus on Silhouette Studio as it relates to sublimation. All right, so I see quite a few people are on already. So let's go ahead. Hello, Elizabeth. Hello, Miss Sonia. Hello, Connie. Hello, Miss Barnes, Marissa, Miss Davis, Miss Williams, Dawn. How art thou? Oh yeah, you got your file. Yeah, I had to fix the paintbrush, so that's what took me so long. Hello again. Hello, Miss Butler. Let's see. All right, so I do see that some questions are starting to come in. And I want to change this banner because sometimes people don't see the they don't see the title. So just give me 1 second. All right. All right, there we go. So now that's on the screen. And let's go over here to the comments. All right, me too here. So we're just going to get right into this. If you guys could do me the favor of giving this video a thumbs up, share this video out. This is content that people will need. I see these questions. I literally just answered about 5 questions in different groups about design programs. Well, how do I get this in here? How do I print it? Print it bigger. I'm so used to using Cricut Design Space for sublimation. You don't have to have a Silhouette machine in order to use Silhouette Studio. It's a free program. Now, when you pay for the upgrades, it unlocks certain features for you, but you can use the program itself completely free and be able to open up your PNGs, your JPEGs, and things like that, and then just edit them and be able to print them out. And then it's like if you want to really dive into designing and typing out your own items or typing out your own words and rearranging them and coloring them in, you can do all of that as well. But as a beginner, if you're not quite ready to lay out designs and set up designs, you can use Silhouette Studio just by opening up your file, being able to resize it from, if it needs to be sized down for a mug to a 5X shirt. You can do all of that in Silhouette Studio with just a couple clicks of a button. So if you are just joining, again, I am Shakia the Professor. I teach Silhouette Studio all day, every day. We also have a product line, honestly speaking. So that's those products right there that you see on the wall behind me. We have sublimation ink, sublimation paper. All right. So let's see what were the first questions. Also, if you guys could let me know, just so that I kind of know who all is here. Let me know if you are new to sublimation, you know a little something, or you feel like, okay, I might be a pro at this. Let me know where you are. Also, let me know what programs are you using currently for your sublimation projects to open files and set them up. Are you interested? Have you heard about Silhouette Studio? And are you interested in those files? Okay. All right. So, okay, I brought a design from Design Bundles. Can you show how to download and how you open them, how you open up to use? Sure. I believe I have some stuff on Design Bundles that I have not opened up as of yet. So I definitely can do that. Let me pull this over here. Let me get into Design Bundles real quick. Oh, wait, I lost my StreamYard. Oh, there it is. Okay. Let me go to my purchases. I think I just did this one though. I think I just did most of these. All right, let's go to our screen share. All right. So when you're coming here, you're just going to download your files. I believe I did this one already. I don't think I did this. Okay. It really depends on what type of files you have. If it is a font file, if it is something that's SVGs, PNGs, and things like that, stuff that you can change. If it's just PNGs, if it is something like this one that is for tumblers, how you get them all into your program is pretty much going to be the same. How you use them is going to be very different because they're different types of files. Let's see. I don't want to do that one. Stickers. I'm trying to see what have I not. I know I have that one. Christmas calendar. Let's do that one. So you're going to go to, I'm going to move me down here. Actually, no, let's just go ahead and get rid of all of this off of the screen so it's not a distraction for you guys. All right. I can leave my face down there though. You're going to go to download files. They have one that says all, and then this one is at the bottom. I can't even move me, so let's move me out of the way. It says all or SVG only. SVG basically just means that you will be able to modify certain things. So I'm going to just do all instead of just SVG because this one's going to give me the PNG versions. They have PNG, EPS, PDF, JPEG. Those just means like they can be opened up in a wide variety of programs. They gave it to you where you can open it up in pretty much any program. For Silhouette Studio, if it's SVG, you have to have Designer Edition or above. You cannot just open up an SVG in the regular free basic version of Silhouette Studio. But luckily with this one, let me see, they have SVG, PNG, EPS, PDF, and JPEG. So the only thing that if you have the free basic version, you would only be able to open up the JPEG and you wouldn't be able to change the colors out on there unless you traced it. So that's the most important thing. Understanding which versions you have, what files you can open, and how you can utilize those files. So I'm just going to go to all. All right. So I use Google Chrome. I think Google Chrome is one of the best like web browsers you can use and to have that when it comes to downloading, because once you click it and download it, it pulls it right to the bottom. You're going to see that across the screen. With other ones like Edge and stuff like that, it comes in a little bit different and you have to either You can either run or you can save. If you just choose run, it's in your temporary folders and all of that. So I lost my StreamYard again. There we go. So I like Google Chrome for downloading. So once it's here, you're going to click on it. It's a zip file. There is a zipper on it. You're going to see something that's going to say extract file. If you don't open it from here, you're just going to go and find it in your downloads folder. So you're going to go and you're going to tell it to extract. So I'm going to click here. I don't have a Mac, so I don't need this one. I'm going to go here and I'm just going to go extract. I cannot assist when it comes to Macs. I think it's a little bit different. Hopefully you know how to use your Mac. So this is what comes up. I always like to have show extracted files when complete because it's going to open up that file again. So for me lately, to be able to organize things better, I have been putting them in a folder for wherever I downloaded them from. So I'm going to go to browse. I'm going to go to my downloads and I'm going to find my folder for designbundles.net files. And I double click on that. I'm going to, just going to hit select folder and it's going to put this file that I'm going to extract in my designbundles.net folder because that's where I'll go. Because I'm like, okay, I remember I got that from Design Bundle. So that is something I'm trying to consciously do, is to save them in a file folder for whichever company or whichever online site I got them from. So now we're just going to go extract. It's going to bring all that in. It's going to say Christmas countdown, and then we're going to be ready to go from there. All right, so that's done. This is now open. These are files that were extracted and they were there, but then now right here, this doesn't have a zipper on it. This is that file unzipped. Now I can actually select items that are in here. So you're just going to double click it. Again, if it depends on which one it is. If it's a JPEG, a PNG, you can open those free in Silhouette Studio. You just have to trace it. Now, if you have version 4.4 and it works on your computer, if it's a PNG, they have what's called an automatic PNG trace. It will automatically trace it for you. But if you don't have that, you have to trace it. So I don't have 4.4. I prefer 4.3. So we're going to double click on this. You're going to see everything. When it comes to SVGs, if we click on that, you don't get a picture of it. A lot of the times even though these are all the SVGs, a lot of the times what I will do, if it's something comes like this, I will select them all, cut them, like hit cut, and I'm going to go back to my files. And this has a PNG and a JPEG one. I'm just going to go to PNGs. I'm going to right click and I'm going to paste these over here because this will give you what the picture is. So I think there's like an app or something you can add on to be able to see the file if it's an SVG, but normally it just doesn't. You're going to see a icon. Right now, mine says the Internet Explorer or Microsoft Edge. There are times where it looks like the Google Chrome one. If I've ever opened up an SVG in Illustrator, it's going to show me the Illustrator icon. SVGs do not have a dedicated icon. All right. So let's say which one's going to be the easiest one to do. Let's just do this one. So I can open up the PNG. Couple ways this can be opened. If I'm in Silhouette Studio, right? I'm going to go back to that file folder. I can take, let's minimize this again. I can take, I like this one with Santa, and it has a lot of black in it too. So I can take this PNG and I can drag it and just drop it, and it's there. I'm going to resize it. This is technically ready to print. Remember, if you're printing it on paper, depending on what you're putting it on. Right now I see gray and I don't see anything here, but on paper, that's going to show white. If I want to open up the SVG, I'm going to go either be file open, but I already have this one open. So I'm just going to go file, merge. I'm going to go to my file folders for designbundles.net. Okay, so here's another thing too. This is how I normally like to have my file set up. But what I'm going to do is, because I know I just downloaded, I'm going to right click up here and come on. You can't be on an actual file. So right here where it says view, instead of by large icon or how to sort or how to group by. So instead of sort by instead of group by type, I'm going to go by group by date modified. So now it's going to give me today, and it's right here for me to go to it. Then, of course, I'll go back because I don't like to see my files by date because that's just me. So now I can go to where it says Christmas countdown. I'm going to go to, I'm going to delete this one because I moved everything. I'm going to go to my PNG. I can relabel that as PNG and SVG. I'm going to come to this file, double click on it. So now this comes in. The difference between these two files is this one, I can ungroup and I can change this to whatever color I want. This one, you cannot. You would have to trace this down. So if you have the free version, this is the PNG. You would go over here to trace, select trace area, place your box around it. It's going to pick up on all of the black areas first. We're going to take this down some because I only want it on the black. I need to see the red because that's going to create a section that I can release and fill it in with color. So we're going to trace it. You're going to hit trace, not trace and detach. And we're going to move this out of the way. So this file right here is not disturbed at all. Now this one, I can just fill it with black. Okay, but I don't have the red. How you do that? Right click, release compound path. Everything is going to release. You're going to see the middles of your letters. They're going to turn, all one color. If you have your line colors on, you're going to see that. So we're going to select here and we're going to make that a compound path. Select here, make that a compound path. Select this word, make it a compound path. Maybe I don't want my stars. I want to make those different colors. I'm not going to make those a compound path. But now his clothes, I can hold down shift. Well, click on an element, hold down shift, click on the other one, click on the red, and I can make that, red. If you're doing this for sublimation, which we're talking about sublimation, you can sample this red, or you can use your color charts. And if you have printed them out, whatever color red is on your chart, you would come to this color palette, go to advanced options, and then right here, you would type in that color code. I'm gonna grab one of my color charts. Grab my Tumblr one. I talk about color codes and color charts all the time. When it comes to sublimation, what you see on your screen is not going to always be what prints out and what is the result once you press it. So you use a color chart. And what this basically is once you print it and you press it to a substrate, whether it's a tumbler, it's scrap fabric, it's felt sheets, you're going to look on here and it's like, okay, this is the exact color red that I want. There is a number on here. On this, sometimes you're not going to be able to see it. You can open up the color chart like the corresponding one, or you can have the color chart already. Well, this is my color reference. You can have the charts printed out on regular paper also, just so that you can see the number. So I'm going to see if I can see this, child. Oh, Lord, I know I'm not going to be able to see this. Hold on. See, I have my color charts printed out. Like these are the same ones. But even for regular prints, this is not sublimation. This is a regular print on matte paper. This is that same print on glossy paper because it shows differently from matte to glossy. So I have color charts printed out from every printer that I use on every type of paper that I use. So I can barely see it on here. I'm going to look at this one because it's the same exact chart, but I can't see the numbers on here. So I'm just going to look on this one, and I wanted that second to last red. So back over here on Silhouette Studio, I'm going to highlight right here. You're not going to put the hashtag. You're just going to put the numbers. So that's going to be C62828, and that's going to change that color. It may look kind of cuckoo crazy on my screen, but I know once that is printed out and pressed, it's going to be the right color red. I'm not going to be surprised. Okay. And then here would be white. I guess here would be white. Here would be white if I wanted it to be white. And then this, I can have it be white. I can have it be gray. I can have it be green. You know, we want whatever color you want. I can have my things here. Normally, I'm only using this color chart up here for demonstration purposes only. When it comes to actually printing, I never, ever, 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 did I say ever? I never use the preloaded Silhouette Studio color chart for anything I'm actually going to really print out, and especially sub. But I use it in videos just for color reference. But these colors are so inaccurate, it's ridiculous. So, you know, maybe I'll choose this green. And then let's choose the same red. And then this one, we'll leave black, or maybe like a gold color, or whatever you can make. So you can make it this, at this point, you can make it whatever you want. And depending on what type of substrate you're putting it on, once you have all this done, you'll group it and you just choose one of the side nodes. You can make it really small. You can make it really big. All you're doing is resizing it, and then you're going to print it. Now, if it's bigger than your paper and stuff, that's a whole other ball game as far as separating it. But hopefully that helps in answering how do you utilize those files. And that's just one. There's so many different files, and there's so many different ways that you can open them and use them. If you guys join my academy, this is the things that we go over and we teach in the academy. Let's see. Is there a way to compacting the file so it doesn't take so long to print? Once you have a lot of different elements on there and you're bringing in so much stuff, if you don't save it as a JPEG. So if you want it to not pick up on, like, well, take so long to print and not to be such a big file, you will need to have Business Edition so that you can save it as a JPEG or even a PNG. And now you don't have all of the individual elements. It's just that one, and it's flattened, and that will take less time for it to print. But the more elements that you have, like where you can actually select on those elements and change them, especially if it's pictures or anything like that, it's going to take longer to print. Hold on one second. All right, give me 1 second. I just need to copy a link for someone who was asking questions. They had questions about like this very thing. So just give me a moment to copy this link and send it to them. 1 second, guys. So just copy that. This is why you guys have to share. Like someone, you know, and they was like, well, how do I do this? I told them I'm live right now going over this. So if you guys can do me that solid and share out the video, you never know who needs this this information. All right, so there we go. Okay, and then I was going over here because I'm on Shaquille Lavelle, and it does not show me your comments. Whenever I'm live on here, StreamYard does not show me your comments if you are watching from my regular channel, Shaquille Lavelle, or Shaquille Lavelle Pericles for that one. So that's the one that I'm on. I need to go to that because it doesn't show me the comments on StreamYard. All right, so I answered that one. Let's see. How do you recommend finding the correct size to sublimate on used shirts or shirts, period? I don't have a set size. It's a lot of people, they'll go and they have like, oh, if it's a medium shirt, if it's this, it really depends on your design. Is it something that's really long? Is it something that, I mean, is it wide? Is it long? For the most part, what I try to do is think about the front of a shirt. I'm going to take this off real quick. So if I stand up, the heck am I stepping on? All right. I've also like some, and things will look differently for people who are well endowed, and if it's someone that has just a very flat chest. So for the most part, though, you think about like when you have on something, this is the part where you're going to see the design. Anything else that's over here, it's going to wrap around. Now, if it's someone that's, flat chested, like a young man, or just maybe a chick that doesn't have a boobs, you can have a wider one and you're going to see it if it comes too far over. But for the most part, what I like to do is pretty much stick to center of the shoulders. So when I'm looking at my shirts and I'm measuring them, and every shirt is different, how much fabric they have here, where their sleeve sits at on it, every shirt is different. So there is no one set size. So I pretty much kind of go off of like what center of the shoulder and I come down. So width wise, I'm trying to stay within this area, and every shirt's going to be different. So I measure from there, and I have, a lot of times I have like a general rule of thumb, and it can fit somewhere, within that. But if it's something that's a really long design, I may not be able to go as wide, because the wider I make it, the longer it's going to be. So if it's going to make it where it's too long, now I have to shrink that down, because I have to adjust it based off of the height, not the width. So you have to understand how files are set up and how they're laid out to know what size, but there is no such thing as a perfect size. Hopefully that helped you. I know a little something about Sublimation, and I use Silhouette Studio only. Hello, I'm seasoned a little bit in Sublimation. A little, I have the free Silhouette version, but brought the upgrade. I only use Cricut as of now. What size should you use for a 5X shirt? It would be better landscape or portrait. 5X is a really big size. You're going to have to decide if you want to make it really, really big and piece pieces together. If you have 13 by 19 paper, if the design is something where it can go like, let's say if you want to do it 16 inches wide, as long as it's less than 16 by 13, you can use a 13-inch sheet of paper. If you have a small format printer, you're going to have to piece it together. With anything, again, there is no set size. There is no rule that says that a design to look good has to take up the entire front of the shirt. How do you want this design to look? I've seen things, and if it's for a 5X shirt, maybe like my shirt that I wore yesterday, it was just the word INKCREDIBLE. It was going straight down the side. Nothing was here in the middle. It was going straight down. So you have to think about the design and how you want it to look. If your client, or for you, if you want it to look like it is covering the majority of the shirt, it's simple. You measure the shirt and you size it to that. Now, if your printer is not big enough to print that size, then that goes into creating it or printing it in sections, and then piecing them together, and then pressing it in sections. Unless you have a big wide format printer, you're going to probably, heat press, you're going to end up pressing it in sections anyway. The thing with taping it together and doing that overlap, you can do it correctly. It's going to be very minimum, but you'll always kind of see a little slight line of demarcation when you're piecing papers together. I use Canva and Publisher. Need to use Silhouette more. On the fence about purchasing Corel Draw, Affinity, and Photoshop. So those are two different ones. Affinity has two different versions. You have Affinity Photo, you have Affinity Designer. Affinity Photo is closer to Photoshop. Affinity Designer is closer to Illustrator and Corel Draw, because they're vector-based programs, and they're also similar to Silhouette Studio. This is not about that. This is all about sublimation, and white toner printers or transfer sheets have nothing to do with sublimation and using Silhouette Studio. So I cannot answer that one, because this is not a general Q&A session. Let me go ahead and put this banner back up so you guys know we are doing a live Q&A, sublimation as it were, like using sublimation with Silhouette Studio. That's what our questions should be geared to for this live session. Let's see. Also on the fence about next heat press. I don't want a new heat press 1 year old to go out on me again that fast. I still haven't messed with the one that went out on me on Sunday. But then you have to spend a little bit, got to spend a little change on a good quality press. It's not going to go out on you. Let's see. What's the difference between the color chart and reference chart? The reference chart is just reference of colors. There are no numbers on here. So to use this, you have to have a program like Silhouette Studio. So with this one, you have to sample the colors. Let's go back over here and I'm going to go File, Open, Color Chart. To me, this just has different, it offers different color ranges than the regular color charts that have the codes on it. So this one just does not have codes. So when I want to use this one, I have to, so let's go reference chart. I'm going to look at this and say, okay, this is the color that I want. It's the one that is in space. It's in space 8 and 1. So what I would end up doing is making a box and you have to sample that. So it's just a reference. So I'm going to go up here. Well, I can go on this side, take my properties dropper. I mean, not my properties, my color dropper. And I'm going to go to row 801. I'm going to sample this color. So now I have this color code here and what that color code is. Or I can simply copy, bring this over here. And now I want to take this design and fill in this pink. So I can select here. Well, let's ungroup. So I can take whatever words I want. And actually it's here. So I can just select that. I didn't even have to copy it over. It's there. So I can just fill that in with that color. So a reference chart does not already have the color code for you to put in there. You have to be able to sample it. You cannot do that with a program like Cricut Design Space. It has to be something like Silhouette Studio, Photoshop, Illustrator, something that has a color dropper that you can select the color. Academy is the best. I've learned so much and it is priceless. Thank you so much for that review, Dawn. Okay, yeah. So that was about Affinity. How do you export to a printer that wants 300 DPI? Silhouette Studio doesn't really have that. So when they're saying that, they just want something that is high resolution so that it's not pixelated. Best way to do that, if you're going to send it off for someone to sublimate it and they need it to be in a certain DPI, best thing to do is to size it, make it the size it needs. Don't go and just have this little file that's like this. If you're sizing it and it's the size that it's supposed to be, once you send it to them, it's going to be fine. So, well, I'm going to go back in pink. This has nothing to do with Christmas. So let's just go ahead and make this back black. All right. So I'm going to group this together. So what I normally do is so let's say I'm going to do I'm going to turn the machine off because I'm not using a Cameo. So I'm going to use 13 by 19. And then I'm going to just size it to this size. And then I'm going to go File, Save As, Save to Hard Drive. Now, the best thing to do would be to save it as a PDF file because that's almost, it's vector. It's going to be the size. It's going to come in quite clear. If you don't do it that way, so I'm just going to go and let's just go PNG, right? And live sub talk. Oh, shoot. Okay, it did come up. It was on this side. So I'm going to put transparent background. And the DPI here really doesn't matter. Like Silhouette Studio isn't like that, where you can really choose like dots per square inch. They say DPI for resolution. I'm going to show you the difference in how this comes in. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to save it as default, right? So I'm just going to save this like that. I'm going to go File, Save As, Save to Hard Drive, and I'm going to go back to PNG, and we're going to go Live Sub Talk 2. And I'm going to hit OK. It brings this up again. I'm going to hit transparent. I'm going to take this up all the way up as max as it can go out. I'm going to hit save. We're going to go file, open. Oh, other thing too, part that I, very, very important part. I did 13 by 19, but this actually is going to end up giving me a lot of dead space. Best thing to do is make your design page close to this size. So this would only be like 12.287. So I would make my height, I'm just going to make it 13 because this is pretty much a perfect square. This is actually the better way to save it. Reason why is you're going to see now when I merge this in, it's going to have a lot of extra space to it. So live sub talk. See how this has all this extra space down here? File, merge, and we're going to go quick access and live sub talk 2. See, that came in a little bit bigger. But once I resize it, this one right here was the one that was at the regular 72. I'm not sure if you can kind of tell. It became very pixelated right here. Whereas with this one, once I just took it and maxed it all the way out, it's not as pixelated. I don't know why. Does this image itself, does the original image have all this to it? Or is it straight lines? Oh, dang. Okay, so I guess this was just a bad trace on my part because, yeah, it has. I was like, where the heck that came from? It has like some little pixels and things right here already. But as you can see, this is a higher resolution image. It's not very pixelated and you're losing color here. So they're basically just telling you like 300 dpi is a standard for you're going to get a good clean resolution. So that's all they're really asking for. You can't go and send them something that's a very poor quality and then want it blown up and expect it to look good. And if you are if you're using images, you're bringing in images and those images were already a low resolution, it's going to be when you resave it, it's going to look even crappier. So that's why sometimes it's better to create things and fill them in with color yourself versus using a JPEG of something that may not be a great resolution. So when it's blown up, whether you are doing it or they're doing it, it's going to be pixelated. Hello, newbie here, and to Silhouette Studio. I have a Cricut Maker. I've been working around I installed Silhouette Studio Business Edition. Not somewhat. It is very, very different from Cricut Design Space because you can do a lot more design-wise. You have more freedom, more control, and how you design, how you erase things, add things, weld things, move things around, how you trace things. So you have a lot more control in Silhouette Studio than you do Cricut Design Space. I do not create the color chart. We sell the color chart. So it's already set, ready to go. We already have it set up for you. Just go and purchase it on our website, and then you just print it out and press it to either your felt or a scrap piece of fabric, or you can do like I did here. The file comes just like this with all of them on there. You put it, it's already sized for a 20-ounce tumbler. You take it, you put it on your tumbler, and you press it, and you have a tumbler that has the color chart on it. Are dry fit shirts good to press with vinyl, or is the fabric too thin? It really depends. Like dry fit, you can have a really cheap one, you can have a really good one. I mean, even with jerseys that have holes in them, I still have put vinyl on them. So it just really depends on the way that the shirt is made. If it is a very thin shirt and you have a design that is very, I say busy, but it has a lot going on, that can make that shirt feel very heavy. If it is a lot of text, if it's a lot of graphics, if it's layered, all of those things. But if it's something, let's say it's a dry fit and they just want like a small logo, like if it was, a Nike check or something in the middle, it's just something small. It's just a single word that says bless. It's not going to affect it that much. Yeah. Sublimation fine. I know you meant. Do I have a video designing and submitting on a holographic tumbler? I've never used a holographic one. The only one that I have used that's not like a straight up white one. Hold on. So I have this one, which is kind of like a rainbow, or I think this is called holographic one. So I have this one. It's a tapered one. I have the template on my website, and it tells you where you're going to design it, where you're going to keep your design, and you have to have Designer Edition Plus or Business Edition in order to have the warp feature. But I have this template, like for a 20-ounce tapered tumbler. I have it on my website, and you just have to go buy it. You design within that first box, and then you use the warp tool to taper it. And then, of course, this one is a stainless steel, but this is a straight skinny. So it's no different. This is no different than designing for this. It's just that this one has a slight taper. I've been using Silhouette for almost a year. I'm so glad I found your channel. Looking forward to joining the Academy. Thanks, Professor. You are very welcome. We sizes 8.5 by 11, 8.5 by 14, 13 by 11 by 17, 13 by 19. On the shipment that's coming, we had it before. We're out of stock now, but we have 8.5 by 328 feet rolls, 13 inches by 328 foot rolls, and 24-inch by 100-foot rolls. I brought an image into Silhouette to edit for the sublimation. The words had an offset color. How do you change the offset color? If it's a picture, you have to trace it. So as a picture, you will never be able to change it. So the same way I just did this one, you would have to do that. And depends on how the colors are, will determine, how you have to trace that image to be able to get those two layers separated. Oh, so they said that my personal shirts for work, dry fit, haven't had any problem with HTV. Godly day to you all. Since I've been following you using Silhouette Studio, I have to stare at the Cricut program before I can even start using it because of the missing tools that Cricut can't do that Silhouette Studio can. Okay, thank you. I think I purchased. We'll have to check. Yes. Oh yeah, and the tape. Thank you, Don. Also have tape. We have 1/2 inch tape, 1 inch tape, 2-inch tape, 3-inch tape, 4 and 6. Don't ask me why I skipped 5. But we have all those different sizes of tape. When subbing to glitter, do you mirror both the vinyl and the sub image? Yes, you have to do both because your if it's glitter heat transfer vinyl, then you're cutting to the back, so that has to be mirrored, and so you would mirror that design. So when you put it down, it's the right side, and of course with sublimation, it always needs to be mirrored because to put it on top. But what you would do is there's 2 ways that you can do this, right? So let's say we're going to just stick with this design that we're kind of working with here. Oh, I broke this down to show you saving it again. File. Let me copy and delete those. File, save as, save to hard drive, PNG, live, subtalk 3. And see, now this one, because I made it shorter, the max when I take this up is 315, where before it was like 216. So now because it's smaller, it makes it sort of like that number changes. Even though the design itself was the same, my design page is a different size now. And so just going to hit save, and then I'm going to go undo so I can bring those back. File, merge, and we're going to bring in that one. And see, now that is basically the same size that it was here. Okay, but you can still go in and size it. But the biggest difference is this has all this extra space here. This does not. This also, though, is not a true size. If you needed to see this as a true size, you have to trace it down because there is some extra here. So even with this one, we're going to take this, pull this over here, and I'm going to trace it. And this I would do as a trace and detach probably. Like if I filled in all those colors, I'm just going to do this as a trace and detach. That little gold piece is not picking up. So we're just going to take our threshold up until that picks up. We're going to go trace and detach. And there's an invisible box around it. And once we remove that, it's going to show us what the true size is. So I have to wait for that to process and do its thing. Okay, so now if I click anywhere in here, see, there's an invisible box. You click that off, bring it off, and you delete it. This right here, if I select it, I'm going to just group it together. The size for this one that I traced down to the exact, these look exactly the same. Nothing on them has changed. This is 21.259. This by 21.138. If I click on this one, this says 22 by 496 by 22 by 496. It was a perfect square. Why this is important is if you're trying to size it to be a certain size. So if I went off of this one and I made it, let's just go right to 12 inches or so. So right around here. So 11.998. But if I take this and take it down to the same thing or close to it, 11.986. I'm going to send this to the back. You see how that is still bigger. Even like, and technically it's made smaller. So this one was set to 11.998, but it has extra stuff around it. I'm just going to change all this to a different color just so you can see. So this one and this one, if I line them up, I center them together. This is not the same size. This is a common issue with most people because they are not going through and cropping it down or tracing and detaching it down. The designer may have saved it and there was extra pixelation around it. So when you go and you're like, okay, I'm sizing this one up to this size. I made my image this size, but it's not lining up. That's because when you just make a shape, that is going to be the exact size. If it is an image and you have not traced it down, it is going to be a little bit off. So this is actually size bigger, 11.998. This is only 11.986, but it is the true 11.986. Make sense? Before I got HS tape, I got some Amazon. It did not stick. We have the ink. It's on its way. We're hoping that it's on the shipment tomorrow. We've gotten the run around with it because right now this is the very first time in 1 year that we have ever been like sold out of like a main product like this, and it is killing me. I don't like that. I don't like being sold out. Like I want my people to be able to get the things they need when they need them. And we just had a mix up with our vendor. So I'm praying and praying that within the next week, we will have ink back on the site. And when it does come, yes, we will have great ink. Oh my goodness, we're getting a lot of goodies here. Knowledge, thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you to Professor. You are very welcome. All righty. Any other questions for me? Any other questions as far as Silhouette Studio? And I'm gonna try and open up the other one too. So file open. Let's see. 20 ounce paper tumbler template. There it is. So I'm not going to show what the settings are for it because you got to buy the template for that. But it's set up the same way like my mug one is. So you have your center point for it. And then your center point here. This is your overlap. So anything of importance, you want to make sure it's not in this area because you're not going to see it. If you wanted something like a design where it seemed like it was seamless. So you would have a design here, you're going to put a color here, and when it's together, that's going to look like it's seamless because it's going to be the same color. This one right here, that color would end up just kind of meeting to the other side. Or you can just bypass this completely and utilize all this area to design in. Once you design, there is a, shoot, I still showed it. Dang it. But it has all the information, which I don't know why I moved it because I'm going to pause now. But you would take that and warp it to that size, or you can use this one. Only thing with using this one is it's not going to properly warp. It's just going to crop it down as is. It's not going to really be conformed to it. And for certain designs, that can look kind of weird. How do you trace and detach without the letters looking fuzzy? You have to have a high quality resolution. You have to have a high resolution item. If your actual image is pixelated, it's going to look pixelated when you trace it. So you have to start with a high quality, high resolution image that doesn't have pixelation. What's looking fuzzy and like all those little bumps is because those are those pixels that it's picking up on from the original image. Yeah. It didn't look fuzzy because that was a high resolution image. There was a while back, you showed some faded designs. I was looking for them on the website. Yeah, so it's called fade bars, or fade mask. They are on the site. You can go under essentials. You can go to HS Ink Digital. So we go on to our website. We're going to go over here to essentials and right here. They're right there. Or if you go to Sublimation starter collection, this is like your first stop. If you're a brand new Sublimation, just got a brand new printer, there's a couple different ones. It shows everything that you're going to need for your printer. So our bundles, our ink, the paper, the rolls, the color chart, the skin tone, the 11-ounce mug, the 20-ounce tapered, the heat tape. Oh, wait, I took the fade bars off of here. Oh, man, I got to put that back. They used to be on there. Yeah, I don't know what happened to them. But yeah, but if you just go to essentials, they are right there. What's the best resolution to look for when choosing an image? It's not really, it really depends on how you plan to use it, how big. So let's say if you're wanting to find an image and it's going on a small keychain, it doesn't really have to be that high of a resolution because it's gonna be on something that's really, really small. If it's something that you're trying to blow up for, you're gonna sublimate a banner, sublimate a yard sign, sublimate even for like a 5X shirt, and sometimes even for just a regular shirt. If it is something where the resolution on it and it's on there, it says 100 by 100, when you blow that up, it's going to be completely pixelated. So you want to try and shoot for, as that's why they ask for that, 300 or higher, preferably 500 or higher. The higher it is, technically, the better it should be. But what you're also looking for is clarity. It's hard for me to kind of explain it. It's like you have to really understand and research and study when it comes to setting up designs. So I can go into Photoshop. I can take the same design and let's say I can save it as a 300, like I can go and change the resolution to 300 DPI, but the image is crap. Or I can set my design page area to 800 by 800. But I brought in a small image and I blew it up. When I save it, it's going to save as 800 by 800. But the image that I put in that 800 by 800 pixel or dots, per square inch was horrible. So when I save it, it's going to still be horrible. It's just a bigger file type. So it really depends on how that designer saved it. There's a couple different factors with it. So you want to at least shoot for 300 or higher, preferably 500 or higher, but you have to also make sure that it is a clear image. I have a whole video about that. And I showed different images where on one side it looked one way, on the other one looking for those little halos and stuff like that. So there's a full video on that. Or at least I talked about it. Maybe it was during Sublimation week. I think I addressed that as far as resolution. I don't have my ear things on today because they were hurting my ears. So my glasses keep falling down my face. All right, we are at 56 minutes. So last call for questions about Silhouette Studio and using it for sublimation. If you are just joining us, that is what we are talking about today and what we're answering questions on using Silhouette Studio for sublimation. If you are new to it, you're looking for a different program where you can open and resize your files and print them out, this would be the time to ask. So that's what the topic is, or the discussion is today. And I'm only addressing questions that are related to Silhouette and sublimation. Last call for questions. So I also just dropped the direct link to the website. It's always also in the descriptions to get you guys right to our website, shop.silaholics.com. That is where you can find our entire line of honestly speaking products. Right now, we only have like individual bottles of black. We have a few left of black, cyan, and yellow. So you go to the individual ones, you'll see those. We just don't have any magenta. That ran out. People would buy like magenta, like 2 or 3 bottles at a time because they must be obviously do a lot of girl stuff and they're running out of magenta. So I always thought that it would be black and we order all this extra black, but people actually order more extra bottles of magenta than anything else. I thought that was kind of crazy. So right now we are out of magenta ink. So bundles can't be sold because we don't have any magenta ink. But everything else is on the site. Only things that's going to be sold out is anything that includes ink as a bundle or a kit. He's like, I just text somebody back who was calling me. I'm on a business call since this is a business Q&A live. Oh my gosh, that is so funny. Oh, wow. Well, you could have answered it because we're done. No one else has any questions. I'm not going to sit here and drag it on. I guess you guys got all of your questions answered. So hopefully this session was helpful for you and served you well. I will probably see you guys on maybe Sunday. I haven't done a PSA, a professor service announcement, in a few weeks. So I'll probably figure out something to I think the rest of my heat transfer vinyl is here. That's Amazon. I got some more glow in the dark. I'm just testing a bunch of different glow in the darks from Amazon, and they just pulled up. So I think I got some Amazon packages out there. But yeah, it'll probably be on Sunday that you guys see me again. If I don't do the professor's service announcement, I will see you guys on Monday. So as of right now, it's really, I'm trying to shoot and stay with it where it's Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and every other like Saturday, because I know sometimes people are busy. This is a very weird time. I probably should have done this a little bit later in the day, like a little later in the evening. I may, depending on what happens on Sunday, do one because I'm going to be kid free. My mother is here to take these children. Yes, 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 yes. Where I could go and I can create and be free. So I just might do one on Saturday where I don't have children in my ear. Yes, God, because even we'll be out there finishing the doghouse. So we'll see if you guys will see me tomorrow. Or I might do a pop-up class. Let's see, if I do a pop-up class, I got to figure out which one. And that way you guys we can be on the Zoom. You can actually ask questions in real time, share your screen if need be. I might do that. I might schedule some sort of pop-up class. I feel like I've done a lot of great videos when it comes to tumblers, but people always ask me, are you going to have a class on Tumblr? You're going to have a class. When's your next class for tumblers? And I'm like, y'all know how many videos I do, but I think they want like a session where they can wrap them with me. And like we did with the Sublimation seminar where they're wrapping it, they're showing me how it is. So, I don't know. I'll figure out what I want to do for a pop-up class for tomorrow because we do that via Zoom. Just the sublimation ink. The gray is not pigment ink. It is actually, so all of the inks for that printer, they are dye-based inks. They're not pigment inks at all. And the way that it works as a pigment ink, it really wouldn't really help with that gamut too much. I even kind of asked about it because, if people want to. Now, the black ink, now I'll tell y'all this now. I do not recommend. You can use the Epson's, like other inks, all of the dye inks, because they're all dye. We do not sell dye ink in any way, shape, or form. We only sell pigment ink and sublimation ink. With the 8550, their photo black that's pigment. So that's that's what photo black means. It means that it's a pigment ink ink. It is the only ink that's like kind of like waterproof. So it's supposed to help to kind of make your stuff waterproof, but I don't know what's going on with Epson. Like in the 7840, 7820, and like this newer whole photo black, it scrapes off. If you put it on glossy, it smears on matte papers. So if you get the 8550 and you want to use it as a regular printer, get HS ink, pigment ink for the black and put that in your photo black slot, because their photo black it's not giving what it's supposed to give. But all the other inks are not pigment ink, guys. That is not a pigment ink printer. Your prints from that printer can bleed. It is not pigment ink. You can put pigment ink in there, but your colors are going to be off. Your colors are going to be off. You're not going to get accurate colors if you put pigment ink in that printer other than the black ink, okay? So you got a little freebie with that one, because that wasn't really a sublimation and silhouette, but that's something that is very important. I probably need to do a video on that because a lot of people are confused when it comes to that printer and the whole photo black. I've somewhat talked about it, but I haven't made a dedicated video about the 8550. So I probably want to put that on the calendar to talk about some point here in the near future. All right. But thank you guys so very much for joining us today. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell if you have not done so already. Tell a friend, share it out, visit the website, go grab some products, the heat tape, paper, all on sale. All available. The pigment ink available, chip resetters, empty cartridges, all that, chips for your 812 cartridges. All that's available on the site. We just don't have magenta to do bundles. The regular pre-filled cartridges of the 2 252s, those are available on the site. So everything except actual bundles of ink is available on the site. All right. So thank you guys so very much. Until next time, have a great one. Continue to unlock your creativity and be incredible. Peace.